what did you think of particularly the portrayal of the Aga? What did you think of the? What did you? Let's call them what
The
the.
Dora
Let's call them
Milaje, should we just call them that since you know how to pronounce
basically
it?
because that was
Respect
something
on those
that's
women.
actually been.
And
Good.
that's why all of this is just it's a lot of it's mixed to put it kind. It's been mixed reception wise. Like
To be woke is to be aware of what is around you. The sufferings of others are included in that. How your actions affect other people are included in being woke. We got we got grandma over here undercutting the parents. That's what we got.
Grandma was sitting there hitting the fuck up.
She
She
hit
was
that
telling all the
weed
mamas
right
Nah,
on
nah,
left, man. She was in a good mood.
Grandma was. Yeah, grandma was.
Grandma
That's
looked-
basically. Isn't that how grandparents are? History, like, they ain't my kids. Let me be wild.
But it also has given places where we can actually utilize it for journalism. We can use it for protest. We can use it to be able to get ideas to kind of coagulate a little bit better. Oh man, how y'all doing today? How's everything? Hey, hello everybody. Thank you very much for joining. Boy, look at that camera, looks crispy today. Look at that,
Crispity, crunchity, clear.
You can see it. No makeup on, pimple right there. You can see that shit.
I missed that pimple. You shouldn't have called it out. Can't unring that bell.
Oh man,
Damn.
yes, damn. There you go. Give me a round of applause for the
Stare at
pimple.
it the whole time.
Round of applause for the sweating outside because it's getting hot.
Come on with the warmer weather, Mother Nature.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, people who conform to gender norms, and people who say, you know what? I don't know if you've seen a new album for Janelle Monáe. I might be one of those people in that bitch. With that, my name is History Williams, and thank you for joining us at the Historical Voices from the East Side as we continue our Romance Month. The guy that's right above me, right over here, he is our voice. He gives us all of the advice that we need at the end of the show to be able to keep going after all of this chaos and stuff like that. And we want to give him the nice wrong like reception that he deserves with the sultry voice. Give him a round of applause, everybody. This is Jonathan, aka JT, the voice.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to know my voice touches the hearts and minds of others.
God damn, you busted my.
Alrighty, Yago.
Well, Jamel. Okay, all right. We're about to do the introduction for this young fella. He's our East Side reviewer. He's the guy that goes out to see the new movies out there and let us know what's happening out there, what's going on in the world, and not even being Marvin Gaye. With that, give a warm reception to my man Jamel, aka the East Side Reviewer Watson. He's losing to me in the draft, y'all. Losing to the draft. What's by the way?
I mean, this is just our third week, so
this is our third week.
I show up with all that.
Yeah, I don't know what Trail's points is, but which by the way, man, if you need to definitely check
I mean, if we talking about that, can we talk about how I came up last week? Or
Bro,
you know what? Different podcast.
Different subject. Yeah, that's what it said. Let's move on.
Let's stick with this. We don't want to bore JT with these details.
I will call y'all out real quick about having a day for that.
Yeah, no. We got a day for that. We actually got a day set for that. I believe that is the 26th. We actually gonna do.
You don't bring your wrestling family over here. We your other family on the other side of town.
Well, they got nerdy shit on wrestling, man. If you know the wrestlers, Selena
history.
But no.
Different show, different podcast.
You
gotta stick to.
I'm saying,
come over here to this family, bro. To this family. This family, you don't wear shoes inside.
I'm saying that there's other people that's part of that community that's out there. If you ever see, you gotta
Stone community. What?
Oh, God. So if you ever get a chance, I see. Yeah, I know this is JT. So I'm about to say, man.
No, I'm saying it's off the rails already because I gave us an out.
But a man
We-
came round
several.
talking about Papa had 3 outside children and another wife. That ain't right.
Dog,
Go
why are you
finish the rest
telling
of
that dude's business like that? Like, why are you out there like, hey man, I heard that your daddy was out there.
the
He got 3
creepers.
outside kids, and
It's your
bitch,
daddy. You got a right to know.
like, bitch,
Yeah.
that's my daddy. That's my daddy. Why you talking about my daddy when he dead? Like, I didn't need to know all that. I ain't
Living
need to
in
know all
death
that.
and taking money in the name of the Lord, bro.
That
But
dude was trifling. He was doing all types of stuff.
I have a family member, dog, that took care of his grandmother for a long time, and I ain't gonna lie to you. She is his mom's grandmother. We shared the same grandfather, so he's a cousin of mine. And it's so funny, dog, because like she say, bro, you just like your goddamn daddy. You ain't pay a nickel in church. So I'm sorry, correct myself. We call each other cousins, but he's my uncle. But because of the fact he's younger than me, I don't allow that. I'm not gonna call no man a seniority name. This man was like, he was like, this man was walking up to me like, hey, that's the one thing you gonna know about the South, dog. They got some weird ass shit where when it comes to like parents are still fucking at an old age and they have kids and it's just like walking up and you got this kid that's in a diaper and you like 20 years old and you got to go up to that kid and be like uncle to that. That's not cool. That's not right.
Go ahead, come change your uncle diaper.
Yeah.
I ain't
man,
doing that. I don't care if you're younger than me or older than me. I'm not changing nobody diapers.
I gotta help your TD go potty train. Like, come on, dog. Just wild that shit. But she used to say that, dog, you just like your daddy. You don't play a nickel in church. So that's some shit that you just put out somebody's business for no reason, man. But with that, I actually have I wanted to bring something back real fast. I was contemplating on making this a salty edition, but I had to come to a realization that this was actually a romance month. So we cannot do
we can't be
a salty edition.
We can be salty if you didn't like the movie that much.
Fair enough. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And you know the time that we should have been salty? It should have been last month. But
look, you already know, Doug. I will salt this whole thing up. Like
history,
the best Olive Garden.
It feels
like
salt. you have some grievances to air. So at the top of the show, get it out. Because
I got one. I'm gonna talk about one show, particular thing, and I'm gonna bring back one movie. We did The Photograph last week, so I went back and I watched a little bit with my wife, dog, and I stick to my rating, but I ain't gonna lie to you, I kind of wanted to drop that bitch a little bit because do y'all remember the sex scene between the two of them? Do y'all remember that sex scene?
Yeah.
Okay. What did my man Lakeith do to Issa Rae after the sex scene? Do you remember?
That was a week ago. I don't
to his brother's house.
That man looked dead at Issa Rae, eyes like this. He booped that girl, dog. They didn't even fucking like no snuggling at all. They didn't do no snuggling. They didn't do no touching at all. I was like, bruh, these two are supposed to believe that they're in love. She looked at him so confused, and then he booped her, and she was like, all right, I guess. Dog, that movie made me so fucking mad, bro. I think that should have been our salty edition. But with that, I know, and I picked the movie. I picked the movie that I thought was new, and it falls into the category of romance, which is going to bring up my question. But this is an actual segment that I think that I brought this up to JT before, and I want to call about this Velvet Freight Train, the first one. The Velvet Freight Train, and it's going to be a
we ain't talked about that in a few weeks. Go ahead, tell them what the Velvet Freight Train is. History.
So a Velvet Freight Train is somebody that does something that is smooth operatorish, even though it may bulldoze some people's mindsets or some type of culture in some way. But we're going to do a little bit more of the Velvet side this week. I don't know if y'all seen in the news, there was a kid who a teacher has shared a post. It was an exam. A kid had got pretty much 100% on his actual exam and got the bonus question right. And the kid decided to be really, really nice and gave us 5 points. to one of the other students that
That's
actually.
not how tests work. You don't be like, hey,
Yeah.
I know the subject matter. Now Ray know the subject matter too. That's not the
Yeah.
point of a test, kid.
What
But go
grade is
on.
this? What grade is this?
Right.
This is 11th grade, dog.
What the
It's-
fuck? Nah, that's stupid. That is
If it was a
stupid.
group project, I could understand.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
But this was a quiz, and if
this
Ray
was like
and them
if
failed
this
the
was elementary
quiz,
school, I'd understand. Like if
All
this
right.
was like kindergarten or like first grade, all right, I understand.
oh, teaching
11th
the kids
grade,
about
See,
sharing, that's sweet.
my nigga,
Yeah.
my nigga, you are a junior in high school. Ain't no sharing this grade. Like, what
There's,
is
Right.
there's no sharing this
Yup.
grade.
You got to
You know
know
what?
that you got to cut some of them people that you grew up with so you can go off and have part 2 of your life start.
I feel
But
like
you know what,
this,
Jason? History. I apologize.
I
We
feel like this,
interrupted. Finish the story. Maybe the story turns out sweet.
no.
Let's
I feel like
give it a
this
shot.
should be a two for this week, because not only the student deserves a velvet freight train for not only doing something sweet, but for the pettiness of him saying, "Let me just give this money to the person that actually just fucking they might need it on the side, dog." Not being like just be like my 5 points. They got people that struggling out there. So that is the mindset of belittling the aspect of the possibility that there's somebody out there that actually might be able to know how to do that test just as good as you. But I also want to
I'm
give
sorry, wait, hold on. Rewind that tape because that didn't
Yeah.
make no goddamn sense.
my man said the reason why he gave the points, he wanted to give it to just in case somebody did not know how to take the exam.
Was this somebody, or did he know one of his friends was struggling because they're bad at the subject?
It's not disclosed. You can't disclose this type of information because of the fact that he's not 18. Here's why the teacher should get the velvet freight trainer of the week as well. This motherfucker used this kind of situation for clout. Why are you using a student for clout when it comes to this type of particular situation? How do you feel about that? Do you think that a teacher should be able to post your kid's grade and your test exam up on social media?
I hate this whole situation. I'm be honest with you.
It comes off as sweet, but really, it's kind of like, dog, for real.
Here's the thing about social media. Social media is supposed to be about your social life. If you want to
Yes.
post about your professional life, put that mess on LinkedIn. And if it ain't gonna fly there, it ain't professional. So
Yes.
don't share it.
Gotcha. So Harry Belafonte
Stay
is
in your lane.
technically the first one because of the fact of how he basically
Nah,
rolled
history. I'm
ran
gonna
through.
stop you right here. These two people, whoever they are, wherever they are, we're not putting them in the same category as Mr. Belafonte.
Here's
don't
my
deserve
reason
this.
why I think
This is a bad story.
this is a bad story.
My man.
I will give.
He's
This is
not
11th
even
grade.
cold in the ground yet.
Right.
Come on now.
And he's just like, you know what, son? You shared 5% of your grade
But
with some
remember,
other
it's about the
student.
pettiness. It's about doing something sweet, but also giving the pettiness. So for Harry Belafonte is being able to kind of talk shit about civil rights and everything like that. That's why I gave it to him. I felt like he was a velvet freight train. I felt like he killed the game when it came to his activism, and then he had the audacity to make a song called the Banana Song. So I think the pettiness is there. I think the pettiness exists. You could be a good person and have some petty shit as well.
This is
So-
a stupid that story.
That story pisses you off, don't it?
It's just like it's not even sweet. It's like, bro, study, and if you get what you get on your test, bro, that's it. Next story.
All right, next thing. I gotta ask y'all a question, man, before we truly get into our actual segment, Dom. Without talking about the movie at all, I want us to discuss what we describe as romance, because I felt like we've been, even with my pick, I don't feel like the understanding is there for romance. So I wanted to ask you two and be able to have a really full, like, serious conversation on what we understand as romance and how we want it to be actually shown on the screen. So I'm going to start with you, JT, since you seem like you're a little bit more poetic when it comes to.
He's also married, so that's probably helpful too.
Poetic helps, dog. I'm not. So no, see, I think that there's a misunderstanding when it comes to being married, being single, and stuff like that. You can be still romantic and have an idea of what you want when it comes to how that relationship is and that connection should be. So it kind of doesn't have nothing to do with it. Unless you are a person that absolutely don't want a relationship at all, I still think that you have some type of perception of what is romantic and what is something close kept to you. So I'm gonna start with you, JT. Still, nonetheless, what is your ideal romance? What do you feel? What is your ideal romance, and how do you think it should be actually displayed in media?
This is pretty easy. So romance is about making love. You're
Correct.
making love between between two people, and watching how it affects them in their daily life. Will they deny it? Will they embrace it? Will they chase it? Will they push it away? You know what I'm saying? And these dynamics are, they're really supposed to let you know how, like, where in the relationship, how they're doing, where they are in the relationship process, the making process. And the problem with a lot of these romance movies is they forget the part that made me say, oh, I care about you, and to recognize you care about me. When they forget those moments, it's devastating to the romance. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into that a little later with this movie, because it was obvious one way but not the other. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that more later. But in romance movies, I want to see people trying to make love. They want to make an environment where them and their togetherness can flourish. And when you see somebody's effort is getting put into making you love me, or making, or my time trying to love you, that's when you have a good romance movie.
Yeah. What about you, Jamel?
For me, I think the most important thing, and it might sound simple, but I like seeing couples who actually like each other. Now, it is one of those things that I think that I've seen with marriages, I've seen with long-term relationships. Love, okay, that's fine. But you should like the person that you're with. You should like spending time with them. You should like eating with them. You should like that company. You should like that person. Love, yes. But liking is something that you don't often see in some of these movies. It's like, okay, I kind of get that y'all maybe love each other, but I couldn't imagine y'all two spending any type of time with each other if it wasn't for the fact that you might, get to put your penis in her, or, like that. I don't see that in some of these movies. And it's just like, friendship is also I think it's very critical to a couple in two displays of love. It's like, okay, I get that these two people love being with each other. I get that these two people love spending time with each other. And I get that these two people like each other. And I think that's something that I always look for in displays of relationships in movies and in TV. For example, low-key, one of the best on-screen couples that I remember seeing with how it developed over time was Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable. I highly suggest, if you've never seen Kim Possible, binge watch the show, and particularly how it ends with Kim and Ron getting together.
The naked mole rat really helped. Look, Jamel, you said
that
something
is an ugly ass creature in real life. Like, just Jesus Christ, they can really, Disney, they're amazing. They can make anything cute.
Yeah, dog. Because as a person that works at a pet store, it's not naked guinea pigs are not. They do not.
Here's the thing: you don't want to look up naked mole rat, and then definitely don't scroll down and read about how naked mole rats get down in nature. They look like nightmare fuel, and their life seems like it's an existence of pain. But JT, please go continue, sir.
Well, you said something interesting, about couples that like each other, couples that actually love each other. I want to dispel a misconception. You can't love somebody and not like them. It's not possible. You have to see the redeeming qualities in people. And so often, you see people who really seem to be at odds with somebody else, and they don't like people. They don't like the other person. And it is illogical that they would overcome that like and be like, ooh, but I love you though. At some point in time, you have to figure out that, like, oh, we pushing the exact same way. And if we could just take that pushing and we could focus it on something besides each other, we got something going on here. And if you don't have that seismic shift, you never convince me that you can have love without the like.
Yes.
You won't.
Yeah.
See, my dilemma is how we want to perceive actual love. And do you want to perceive it with a sense of reality, or do you want to perceive it in the sense of like, hey, this is a realistic, like a fictionalized version of it. This is my imitation of it. So think about it as in like Chris Rock made a joke about Rocky. Rocky was a sci-fi film, right?
Mhm.
And so it's the same context. And I think that like what happens is when it comes to like these romance movies, they're so hell-bent on trying to hold on to, I guess, what you would consider the culture, as especially in Black films. The culture, but also on top of that, what is they normally see in the household. So let's go back into like based off of this, right? We talked about Love and Basketball very first, like the last week, right? But it's considered one of the best romance films. But at the
Bruh.
same time,
JT, you put that post on there, and there were so many people caping for that movie.
Yes,
I'm just like, bro,
the
have y'all
salt of
seen
the
that
earth.
recently?
There was the funny thing was there was older women too.
Yes,
I'm talking women in their 40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? So these women are often single too. I wonder why, because
If
they
you-
probably
R.
didn't know
Kelly
what real
still-
love looks like. That's
Oh,
the
I
problem.
probably shouldn't have said that. Probably
No.
shouldn't have said that part.
I mean,
I ain't mad at it. They don't watch the show anyway, so we can say whatever we want.
So we look at it in like this is an article, and I think I thought I sent the link to you. The best Black romance movies according to IMDb. This is a 27 article. Number 1 is Love and Basketball. Number 2 is Love Jones. Right after that is The Best Man. Poetic Justice is number 4, and
Poetic
The Wood is
Justice
number
was
5.
more trash, dog. More trash.
So what is our understanding of what is a romantic film?
Apparently what they say, a romance film is a film that talks about a relationship and its dynamics. That's what they're qualifying as romance films. But if you ask me, if there's no real romance there, that's just a drama.
That means that Star Wars should have been a romance film, because
Which
Luke
one?
Skywalker was the one where Luke Skywalker was going after Princess Leia and Han Solo.
His sister.
Yeah. You know, that in theory, that should be it. Star Wars 2 and 3, which is not Phantom Menace, but Attack of the Clones, for sure should have been a romance film, because you had Anakin and I forgot the Padme. They were dating in that film. If we're trying to put that into context, and realistically, we look at those as sci-fi films. We don't look at them as romance films. So with that logic, it should be that. I mean, but it's not. I look at these films and I'm like, I don't think that that's the same way as a nurturing a relationship between me and my wife. I don't think that you can look at that, JT, and say that that's nurturing a relationship between you and your wife.
Nah.
So
there's so few movies that you can put on and have your relationship be better because of it.
Correct.
Dang, now I can't look this way. Now I gotta look. All right.
I was trying to help you because you looked like you was looking down. So
no, I was trying to look good for the video. Now it's all fucked up. All right, I'm done. I'm done with this shtick. Anyway, but like there's like when I think about a romance movie, I want to put this movie on to have a better marriage after I watch it.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And there is I can't even think of a movie right now that would positively impact me in such a way. I'll be honest.
One thing that I got from Poetic Justice is I make sure that my nails are clean, because apparently clean nails, like you kind of need to make sure that happens. So I always try and make sure that my nails are as clean as possible.
They all
yeah
just pearly white, you know.
So I mean, is it like Boomerang is number 12, you know, like,
but Boomerang is about a dude getting taught what not to do. He has a bad romance.
Is How to Be a Player on this list? Because
but thin line between love and hate.
Like two can play that game. You know what I'm saying?
These are basically, hey, player niggas learning a lesson. It's just, Boomerang. It's good that movies have the end and credits, because it's like realistically that relationship does not work. Like, well, first Eddie Murphy had to choose between Robin Givens and Halle Berry. I don't see how you have a sad ending after that. Like that's peak. That's right before Halle Berry reaches her prime, but she's still fine as hell. And then that's peak Robin Givens. But also, if you remember how that movie ends, she basically looks at him just like, if you look at that girl, I'm gonna do this thing. It's like, okay, you can't have a relationship like that. It's over. Like maybe a month they'll last, and then it's over, because she's always nervous about this nigga looking at other women. It's just like, bro, that's not really good romance at all.
Yeah.
Again,
So
it's just
it's not good romance. And the only
best romance in that movie was between John Witherspoon and BB Drake, because they were willing to fuck anywhere. They in one of their son's friends, not just their house, in his fucking bathroom. They was, and you saw they're fucking dog. That's a wild movie.
Lord. Oh, yep. Watch me bang, 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 bang. Like just
Now we got Junior.
That's how.
Marcus.
So
I heard a girl got you pussy whipped.
So I'm gonna give you 2 or 3 other movies. Why Did I Get Married To is also on this list. It's number 19. And
So,
a thin line between love and hate.
Hold on. Why
Jesus
Did I
Christ.
Get Married? 1 and 2. These
Here's the
movies,
list
was Tyler Perry married when you wrote these? Because
No.
I don't think so, and
No.
it shows. That's all I'm saying. But like these movies talk about relationship dynamics,
Yes.
but they don't talk about what works good for maybe 6 minutes of the film. There's 120 minutes in that mug. So you got 3-4% of that mug is actually dedicated to some real romance, some actual love making. I took her to the gym because I saw what you look like under all that fat suit. You know what I'm saying? Like that was about it. And the rest of it is just people complaining about their spouses the whole
just
time.
Mess.
Right. This is not a quality relationship that you're showing. Now look, I need to asterisk all this stuff by saying no relationship is perfect. The whole point about it is finding your stride with your partner. And when you find that stride, you can share it with other people. But if they try to emulate that, it's not going to work for them. If they try to do exactly what you do, because look, snowflake, you're unique. You can't get over it.
Yes.
You know, and so your stuff, you cannot copy and paste somebody else's life or relationship onto yours, no matter how good the advice is. It's never going to 100% one-to-one match.
Or how
because
good
you
their
might have
relationship seems.
So
now I was gonna say, or how good their relationship seems, because how often have we heard or seen people on social media, TV about couples goals? Like, for example, a couple years ago, pre-entanglement, how many people were out there like, oh, Will and Jada, that's couples
goals. Yeah,
they were so wrong.
This is wild about the Jada can pick Will's situation.
This is why you can't lionize celebrities, y'all. You can't act they're the leading source of importance in your life. These are just regular ass people.
It also makes you look at Alicia Keys differently, because she said Will and Jada, and she talks about Bill and Camille. Like, she names a lot of fucking toxic relationships.
Shit.
As being unbreakable.
When she stole Swiss.
When she stole Swiss. Yeah.
Now you're meddling. You're meddling now.
So it makes you listen to a lot of that shit totally different.
Yeah.
So I think that like I think that culturally we should definitely figure out what the fuck romance is first.
Well, you added, like you said, thin line between love and hate was on that list. So that automatically just disqualifies, because it's just like, really?
Well, this is not the only list though. I got like 3 of them that actually, it's like the first searches, even not only just for Google, Bing. When I was like, oh man, let's look up like romantic movies, right? And I was so my initial goal was, we went through a whole month, toxic romance. I don't know if y'all realize, but all those toxic romance movies, they were definitely brown and black. All those toxic films, right? Do you really want me to start my first movie off with a bunch of white people just in love? That was my dilemma.
That's a good example. Yes.
I feel no, because the fact that shows that we are incapable of doing that.
I mean, we're doing the Notebook, so we're gonna.
Okay, hold on. Time out there. Time out. Look, history. Who is we? You talking about people, or you talking about just black people? Because let me tell you, you don't represent all black people.
I don't represent all black people, but like, if this is a list that and several other lists are coming out, and then you have people coming to you say that Love and Basketball is one of the best love movies, then I think that culturally, black people don't know what that romance is and how to portray it in film. But I don't want to. I'm sorry to generalize it. Maybe it's a person that's at home that don't know how to get into the business that wrote the best romance movie. But that's why I'm asking you. What is your analogy of romance, and what do you how do you believe that it should be actually represented on the screen? And a lot of these films, they don't represent well, especially for us culturally. You can probably look at The Notebook and be like, "Oh, that's adorable. They died with their hands holding together." Can you do the same
Did you
thing?
just spoil the movie? Did you really just spoil the movie?
That movie's
Dog, fuck you.
I'm
For
sorry.
real, dog.
My
You
bad.
couldn't just wait till next week. I got 5 days left till I gotta watch this shit. You fucked this up for me. Really? He was an asshole.
I'm so sorry, dog. My bad. Oh, can't go back on that.
Nah, let's move on to the next subject.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Love sucks in movies. Look for it in the real world. Ask your grandparents about it.
Speaking of grandparents, Donald Trump is back in the news. Jamel, JT, what happened with Donald Trump? The old granddaddy that pissed off everybody. Oh,
man, fuck that lying piece of shit.
The granddaddy that would be king. Tell me what happened, Jamel. What happened with Donald Trump this week, buddy?
Well, he was found civilly liable for sexually. What's the word? They didn't say rape because that was specifically didn't say rape, but it's in that neighborhood. Like if rape is Chicago, no, let's not use Chicago. Let's use if rape is Alabama, what Donald Trump did was that border between Alabama and Florida, just like right there where it's basically same state. Trump was found civilly liable. He is going to have to pay money to a woman by the name of E. Jean Carroll, I believe that's how her name is pronounced. She came out in years ago. This has been going on for years. This is the first of the cases that former President Donald Trump has been found liable, guilty, whatever you want to say. It's happened, and I just found the story I don't necessarily think it's the first shoe to drop, but I do think, hey, a consequence for a rich white man. We rarely see that these days. And it's just a reminder when you really just go back and just think how wild this human being was. And in a bigger sense, the negative impact that he has permanently made on politics, because every person that you are going to come across politician wise, when they have some trouble, they're going to take that Donald Trump route. Like Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, has all this scandal going on around him with accepting these gifts and money from a big time conservative donor. Like if this were, say, the 90s, if this was like the early 2000s even, or even like in 2010, he would have stepped down. He would have stepped away from the Supreme Court because shame. What Donald Trump has done, he's removed the idea of shame. He's removed the idea of, oh no, you can basically what's like facts don't exist anymore. It's just like, who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? And that's a permanent thing, and it's never gonna happen. Like it's not gonna, maybe it'll change by the time that like history that your kids are old and gray and we're all long gone, but it's permanent. Like this is how politicians are going to be, and it's going to be
taking the shame out of it takes any reason to step down out. And then you see people like who was the one comedian senator guy who was putting his hands on the outside of a friggin' bulletproof vest, and that shit was supposed to be funny because it looked like he was copping a feel outside of this bulletproof vest, and he stepped down for taking that picture. And he shouldn't have, because then the Republicans got a majority, and then a whole bunch of nonsense happened.
I think it has to do with Al Franken. But it's like nowadays you got my man in New York. I can't remember his Santos. This nigga has lied about everything.
He voted on a bill about job fraud after committing job fraud.
Like it's almost comical with him. But he's not. He's gonna run for re-election, and he's going it's just like shame used to be the thing that deterred people.
Listen, the problem is the right have been peddled for so long, and they really don't understand this. If you're on the right, you need to listen. You need to know that you've been sold a bill of goods. But the idea of owning the libs at any cost is actually hurting the right's cause. Any legitimacy that they had is wasted when all they care about is just owning the other side. I'm going to go into Washington and I'm going to make it so that they can't pass anything. That's what Mitch McConnell told his constituents. And then he went to Washington, didn't let anything get passed, and then he campaigned again and had everybody else campaign on what useless, Democrats are doing when they were the ones running obstruction. This has happened time and time again. Once you find a pattern, you got to get mad. If you see the pattern and you're not mad, it's because you think it benefits you, or you really can't interpret the data and you don't know what the problem is because you're dumb.
So I think,
said.
Yeah, no, definitely, man.
Go get another drink.
Yeah, go do your thing, man. So like, I feel like when it comes to the idea of Donald Trump getting this held liable, I'm wondering if this is going to be a catalyst for every promotion that campaign that he done or went to go public speaking. Because you got that, think about that one situation where he was making fun of the handicapped person, or he told the person get out of there and go punch him and everything like that, and they actually
get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a catalyst, and if this is a catalyst, rightfully so.
I mean, probably.
Why you don't think
this nigga is still running for president, and he's got like legit charges that could land him some jail time. He has no shame. Like, it is that part of his brain is gone. Shame does not exist. And
correct.
The thing is that, which is fascinating, is Trumpism, and this is the biggest compliment I'm going to give him. Trump had a certain The Rock has charisma. Like, Trump had a certain something about him that made him almost entertaining. Like, if he wasn't running for president and he was just a rich asshole in the ether doing this stuff, I'd be entertained by him. But he's running for office. He's got power. You understand me?
Yes, I get you.
So many of these people who are like, I'm a Trump person or I'm following his lead, they don't have that. And you see it in these elections nationwide. You saw it during like the general election. You saw it recently in Wisconsin with the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Trumpism without Trump really doesn't work, because none of these people are him, and none of them have that. And I think people don't have an appetite for that as much as they've had in the last few years. Like, you got to think about this. The pandemic happened. We're on the precipice of maybe the economy being fucked. Like, people aren't rocking with what Trump was selling or what any of his acolytes are selling. And it's why these motherfuckers lose elections. Like, in Michigan during the election last year, the Democrats purposely wanted to make sure that a person who was very much pro-Trump was the person on the main ticket, because it's like, okay, that's somebody that we can beat because you let them go out there, talk, and generally most people who are reasonable are not going to elect them.
That almost bit a lot of people in the ass.
Problem is that in some of these damn states, like, say, especially in the South, these motherfuckers are still getting elected. Now, luckily, these crazy bastards, you don't think they're gonna go national, because they don't have, again, it don't work without the circus don't work without the ringleader. And like Marge Green or baby girl in Colorado, Bobart, or here in Arizona, motherfucker who ran for governor, Carrie Lake, doesn't work without the big man. So that's something that hopefully it's starting to die, and like just dies of death. But we can't shame politicians no more. It don't exist no more.
Yes, you can, and you shouldn't stop.
I mean, you can't
shame politicians in the context of, like, it's now become a us versus them. So if you shame a politician in the context, they're going to just double down on what they do. And that's what they found out with communication, especially when they did the study for Trump becoming actual president as well. And then also like the idea of like his politics. we are now being able to sit there and say the more and more that you believe that you're being told that you're wrong, the more and more you actually solidify your actual beliefs as well, because of the fact that you in a, let's just say it's a glorified way of that you just don't want to acknowledge that you're wrong in a lot of ways. So people have to find new ways to actually like approach an issue and talk about an issue itself. And so I would say that if anything, here's the one part that I will thoroughly give Donald Trump credit for. He did right by saying that he is going to unite the United States in a lot of ways, because he in a lot of ways, what I mean by that is the fact that he has united groups that I just never thought I would run into that agree with the idea that this just is not normal. This is stupid. But he's also united groups that you just never would have fathomed. That granddaddy from down the street, yeah, he black, but he's still wearing that damn Trump hat. He put some wild fucking like visualizations to who we should call, I guess, kinfolks. I guess in that nice light of way.
So what you're saying is that Trump, because he's Trump, he united groups either for him or against his ideas that you wouldn't have expected. Like, for example,
okay, we call that polarizing, though. They're polarizing.
That might be the
one
word.
Side.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's not uniting. That's polarizing. He's pushing people out of the middle and together at the fringes.
The last thing that I'll say about the Shane thing is that
don't argue with me about English, please. I didn't major in it, but I'm not in the mood for fucking semantics right now.
Not thinking about some past scandals that we've had over the last, like with politicians, just wild scandals, and it's just like, oh, that shamed them and that dude's career is over with. Like, do y'all remember the New York governor, Elliot Spitzer? My man got caught with prostitutes, and it shamed him. He got caught, and he resigned from being governor. He ain't had office since. My man Anthony Weiner.
I was about to say, what about Weiner?
This nigga sending his dick out to people. Shane,
the wrong people.
Got it. Was not electable anymore after that. Hell, let's go back even further to one of the wildest ones was the senator or representative Republican got caught soliciting gay sex in a bathroom. Again, dude left.
He was so anti-homophobic on the legislation,
just aggressively too. And it's just like, oh, that used to be the thing with politicians. And I think that's, if I can't, like, I think you said it, JT. If I can't shame you, then if you can't be shamed, then there's really no consequence for these dudes. Now, the legal system should be that, but let's be honest. We're hearing first time ever. This is the first time that a former president has some charges brought on him. We in uncharted territory. So this next year, while this motherfucker runs for president, while he has charges pending, it is gonna be a mess. And
here's why I think that the idea of like being uncharted territory, I think that's bullshit. We've been sending niggas to jail, right, for a long time. So we've been sending them to jail for less. We pretty much was sending Wesley Snipes to jail for tax invasion, right? So if we know that the dude is guilty at this point in time, why are we defending this? Because the fact that one of the things that happens when you go to prison, right, you come out, depends on what state you're in, you lose the right to vote. Am I correct? Yes, most times that is the case.
You are correct, yes.
That you lose the right to vote. So why are we giving this? Why are we saying that this is uncharted or this is a tough task to navigate when realistically this is just you don't want to deal with the elephant in the room? And I'm not saying that this directly towards you, Jamel. You just don't want to admit the elephant in the room.
I was going to say the reason why it's uncharted is because none of our former presidents have been stupid enough to or as brazenly corrupt. And Nixon was brazenly corrupt with how he got down. All the way back, Warren G. Harding is probably the most corrupt president we've ever had. And that if he didn't die, would have gotten charges. But Trump was aggressively brazen with how corrupt he is. And
he was corrupt every day. So much so that you couldn't keep up with all the corrupt shit he was doing. So much so that people forgot he was doing corrupt shit.
Of shit. Yeah.
bruh.
But that's
And
what I'm
it's just
saying
like,
though. Like
but
it's
the
not like we
reason,
never.
and I'll say this, the reason why people are saying, oh, this is uncharted, because politics. The thing that you hear when you watch the news is Republicans, they want to now start opening up and investigating on the big one, Hunter Biden. They want to investigate in the Joe Biden. They want to retaliate. And now what the system is, and it was low key kind of like this. It's basically like, oh, as soon as we get power, it's just basically revenge. Like, we are going to revenge investigate, and we're going to find something to dig up on you. Now, I'm going to say this. Democrats have done this in the past. Republicans. Politics is, y'all are familiar with Peanuts, the Peanuts cartoons.
Yeah, correct.
They're pig. Like, it's basically pig pen dipped in mud. Like, just that's how filthy politics is. And so that's why you hear on the news. That's why I said uncharted territory about this. But that's my bit on Donald Trump. Hopefully the nigga goes to jail and doesn't run. But we got to get to some happier news. Is there anything sunshiny or not Trump that we can talk about? Robert De Niro's dick still works because apparently he's having a kid.
God damn.
At near 80 years old. So get it how you live, King.
No, actually, I got a better one, man. So actually, we had a close family friend who was wrongfully convicted for rape of a minor. Oof. And he actually got released after 29 years in prison. Not only
he got compensated for being in prison, right?
Well, he just got released. So the Innocence Project and a couple other places are trying to actually release them. What it also does is it highlights how New Orleans was so corrupt that he was not the only case that actually fell into this actual category as well. There was about, out of 9 cases, 8 cases actually found people innocent of the actual rape as well. So he actually made national news as well. He's now about to be 50 years old, and he got arrested in 1994. So I really want to just I know it's not happy news like you would be, right? But it's happy in the aspect that this man finally got exonerated of all these cases of discharge, and now it's going to be wiped away. I do remember growing up, the thing that the very little that they were actually offering him was that they were going to release him, but he has to register as a sex offender. And he fought that thing
for some shit he didn't do.
He did some shit he didn't do. The good news about it is now they have brought it to actually the light for the fact of who the actual person was, and that's because of the fact that the person actually confessed to the victim's actual parent, as well as also has shown that he was going to still go attack the victim as well, child. So with that, man, congratulations to this man, and he's actually in the news, man. His name is Patrick Brown, man. So if you get a chance, look it up. Patrick Brown. Let
me be the first to call for reparations for Brother Brown being stuck in the pen for 29 years.
Correct.
I mean,
and he need about $100,000 per year he was in the pen.
Yeah,
that's what he needs compensation in. So that
he's now on CNN.
$9 because his life was gone. His life, his his youth was taken from him.
Yeah,
and he went in at 21 for crying out loud.
Yeah,
he had no
his life was beginning. His life was just beginning.
He gonna come out a middle-aged dude.
Yeah,
so
he was in USA Today.
For that. He got 3 decades worth of living he got to do. He needed about $2-3 million, and whoever done wrongly convicted him, in this case, I'd argue the state of Louisiana needs to go break him off a big chunk of change so he can just live the rest of his life out in leisure with his family and not have no worries because he done got stuffed in a box for some faulty reasons.
Yep. And he went to the worst prison in the country, period. Angola State Penitentiary was considered the worst prison, period, in the world. I mean, not in the world, in the state.
in the U.S. Yeah,
So
That's miserable.
it's wild. And now they don't really call it Angola. They call it Louisiana State Penitentiary. But still, nonetheless, like this man served his time for
Right.
somebody else. Served his time for somebody else. And
Like
so
a decade ago in 2013.
yeah,
Just think about the massive growth of technology, the massive growth in society from 2013 to now. And that
You mean
man spent
2003?
20, even like not even that long ago, like 2013. The shifts that happened with
Because he was
technology,
locked
with
up in
society.
92
Like, and so I'm just imagining it's like he's been gone, he's
before
missed
the internet.
everything. And it's just like now
1994.
it's like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
go out in life. And this is why it's one
You
of
talking
those,
about it's like
and
an episode of Futurama.
yeah.
it's Shawshank Redemption, basically. It's you put a person in jail for life or for all these years, and then at a certain point, they're a little broken down, they might be sick, and you're just like, all right, go out in society. And prisons cut programs for education, prisons cut programs to actually rehabilitate people, and people either like their lives are either never the same, or they end up
Yes,
They're
like just
so
going back, and it's just
grossly
like
interrupted.
we don't
yes,
do anything for them. And it's just, and prison is fucked because it's like, oh, if you're in prison, bad person. And I get there's bad people who go to jail. It's just like, how do you redeem, like, where's the rehabilitation that people
yes,
can get?
It's not in there. It's not in there because it's not part of the correctional facility is really just a housing facility. Because we wanted you over there, we wanted you in here. Oh, and by the way, now you can't vote, which is your right as as an American citizen.
yeah.
You can't
And you
vote
can be,
anymore.
and you're basically a slave if they need some free labor. But
And so what is this guy gonna do? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna stay in Louisiana? Because I'd get the fuck out. That'd be the
So
first thing I'd do.
I talked to the dude already. He's moved out of Louisiana already. He's with his
See?
daughter in
So
Louisiana.
he was
So,
okay.
but when I remember growing up talking to him, I mean, his thing was moving and going working offshore if he gets out. So he was going to work on an oil rig. Now think about it like this: 2010 is when the Gulf Coast oil spill happened, right? If he would have got out like he planned on and worked at that same oil rig, he probably would have been one of, I think it was like 20 people who died on the oil rig because of the oil spill. He could have been one of those people. It's just, and those are where, and you know the crazy thing is that type of place is usually where people who are prisoners and becoming like now considered felons, and they're reacclimating themselves to like society. They go to do that type of job and they get actual worse of labor, right? So there's not a lot of people who say, man, I went to prison and now I'm about to be a lawyer, right? And there's not a lot of people, oh, I went to prison, now I'm about to be a doctor. You know, that none of them is saying that. And those opportunities are not really there. I commend the fact that like he's out of prison now. I just have a hard time with the idea that this man is now out of prison, but it also proves that the system did not listen to this girl. And that is a hard fucking like case to swallow, a hard pill to swallow. We sat there and we did 3 documentaries, which by the way, call that out. 3 fucking whole documentaries of surviving R. Kelly. But now we have a situation where this little girl was saying that nobody was listening to me and saying that this dude did nothing to me. You just was so hell-bent on putting him in prison. That's another fucking layer to that we got to focus on, is that not only did a black man get put in prison for no reason, but also you didn't get no justice for the fucking victim. You didn't even listen to the victim at all. You took, not only did this person lose their rights when it came to the rape itself, but also they lost their rights when it came to actually talking about the crime itself. So there's multiple layers to that actual that case, and it's a very tough pill to swallow in my eyes, or at least in my perspective. I don't know about y'all.
It's unacceptable to me. Bro.
Yes.
It's unacceptable.
Yes.
It's not justice to free him.
Yes.
He needs to be restored now.
Yes.
He has almost 3 decades lost.
Mhm.
He got to be restored for those decades.
Correct.
What do you
The thing
think
is
apt
that
compensation for this man would be? Because I
nothing.
done said my money.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, nothing, because you can't give him back that time.
Correct.
You can't give him back his wild ass. Like he didn't get to be a
Well,
wild
no.
20-year-old in the 1990s doing Freaknik and shit. He didn't get to go to like he didn't get to be a whole person. Like he lost all of that stuff.
Yeah.
30 years.
The
Like, yeah,
only-
30 fucking years I'm in prison. And money, yeah, sure, cut me a check for the time, but it's like, dog, I'm done. Like, I'm fucking in my 50s, and now I got to live the rest of my life. So, yeah, compensation is the least, but it's all they can do because you can't give them back that time.
Here's the only reason why I think compensation should matter. Because, like I said again,
I'm not saying it don't matter.
The only you better say the only pull out a goddamn laundry list, but go on.
Well, I'm about to say that.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter.
No.
Doesn't want to say it's matter, but it's just like
here's the only reason why I think the compensation is like going to be a big part of it. Because when I talked to him like maybe about 30 to 45 minutes before the show started. The only reason why I'm saying that now, because this man told me this dude just got out. I want to say Wednesday. Monday. Dude just got out, and he just went to Texas. He has the audacity to say, "I got to go look for a job tomorrow." You just spent 30 years in prison. Deal with your shit, right? Deal with your shit mentally. But he said, "I got to go look for a job because I got to go take care of my daughter and my grandkid." Now his daughter is about to be in her 30s. She just turned 29. So like, how fair is that, right? He's been in prison for his whole daughter's life. And the only thing that he's thinking is, I got to go take care of my baby again. So that's where the compensation, I think, is going to help him get back a little bit of that time. Is that like now he can actually relax a little bit more and not feel the pressure of being away 8 to 12 hours again to deal with somebody else's shit again for no fucking reason, man. This man definitely, he's like 14 years away from the average like retirement age. So realistically, the compensation should help a little bit of giving back his time. But I do think that like, if you really want to help him by actually helping other people and I don't have no place to say this, but I'm saying that like, if you really want to help the mentality of it, is helping by getting more people like him out and making sure that you don't make the same mistake right after this as well. We can't make the same mistake again. We can't. We just can't. We can't give a pass at all for it. But with that, man, we're at the top of the hour for our actual story, man, and we should like move on with a positive note.
I got
Gotcha.
Actually, I have two. Just a quick little Eastside review and an Eastside suggestion for viewing this weekend. So we're gonna start with the review, the very short review, spoiler free. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, last movie in the MCU for James Gunn. He's now moving on fully to DC, and he's penning the script for Superman Legacy and guiding that universe. But for me, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I feel it was solid, and of the trilogies that we've gotten in the MCU, I feel it's the most put together. It balances out, and all three movies work, in my opinion. I think the emotion is what carries the movie, particularly for Rocket. And it really highlights, Rocket, low-key Rocket has some of the main character syndrome for the Guardians movie. So it's great. His backstory is explored, and this might be the darkest that the MCU gets with some details. Of course, there's some, the typical humor that doesn't work in some spots, but when the humor works in this movie, particularly from Drax and from Mantis, I think it works very well. And I think it's a good way to close the chapter on this version of the Guardians of the Galaxy within the MCU, and a good swan song for James Gunn. So I give it a solid edger. Definitely check that out, either in theaters. I'd say in theaters, it's definitely worth seeing, but it'll be on Disney Plus within the next couple of months. So history, you'll get a chance to see it. The next, briefly, is an Eastside suggestion. Yeah, you don't go to movies to the theater no more. It's a show that I just happened to want to start watching on HBO Max, and it's Warrior. It was on Cinemax, but it is on HBO Max. And I was just like, I saw it. I think I added it a while ago, and I'm like, all right, I need a new show. Before I begin The Wire season 4 and do my little videos and review of that. But holy shit, Warrior is live as hell. Like, I'm right in the middle of episode 10 of season 1 and about to finish that season. But man, it is based on some some writing by Bruce Lee. It takes place in the late 1800s. You hear old-fashioned slurs that you didn't know were slurs. Like the word duck, like the words duck, the word onion, and sticky all take new meaning to me because of this damn show. And the action and martial arts is brilliant. One person that you'll know history is Buddy, who played Sub-Zero in the recent Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes.
He's a character in the show, and he gets he gets busy in a lot of these places. I think the humor works. I think the action works.
He goes hard.
It's a dope show.
Yeah. So, which, by the way, now that
3,
you brought up, I got a movie review, suggestion because of
season 3 is coming out in June. So if you got HBO Max, take some time, watch those first 2 seasons, 20 episodes. Dope show. So yeah, it's approved by your boy Jamel, and from the sounds of it, it's approved by JT. Watch Warrior on HBO Max, or should I say the new corporate name, Max. But yeah, history.
So actually, you brought up a good thing, man. I put my wife on. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this movie called Raid Redemption. Have you ever heard of that?
The Raid, yeah.
Yeah, the Raid Redemption. So that movie is really a big deal because of the fact that it had modernized a lot of what we love about action films. You can see that this film, it inspired a lot of the action scenes that you've seen in John Wick. They tried to make an Americanized version of it, which is Judge Dredd, the kind of the premise of it, which is the lockdown of an apartment building by this drug crime lord kind of place.
Judge Dredd is based on a comic book, and they
The
had
new
a
Judge
shitty,
the new
yeah,
Judge
they had a
Dredd movie.
shitty version of the movie in the 1990s with Sylvester Stallone,
And then they got the Carl
somebody
Urban one.
made.
Hey!
crazy.
They had a delightfully shitty version of
Carl.
the 90s.
I mean, Rob
Yeah.
Schneider's in it, and it's like, oh, well, this is terrible.
It was delightfully shitty.
Yeah, I would agree. It was
a
the
proper level of camp.
In fact, you guys, we're in movie territory, and
yes,
I think we are for our listeners, viewers, July and August. It's blockbuster.
Blockbuster summer.
I'm scoping out movies for the month, and I'm like, what will we consider a blockbuster? Like, and now is it the overall gross? Is it the time that it came out in the year? What would you, or does it specifically have to be an action comedy type joint? What would y'all say qualifies or would be a blockbuster?
Well, go ahead, history.
So again, this kind of goes into the same thing about the romance question, but I'm going to say this, man. Blockbuster should be a big box action flick. That's at least from my perspective. When I think about instantly a blockbuster movie, when we said the summer blockbuster movie, my first thought was like Independence Day. I don't know why it just fucking hit.
Because
it
it's
hit
a consummate blockbuster.
It's right there that Independence Day.
There's so much heat. Oh my God. Welcome to Earth.
Yes, it's that just felt like I really want to put it there, right? I love that film, but then you have movies that considered not really a blockbuster but a summer dud, which would be Hellboy. That came out during the summer, and that was very tough.
Which one?
Hellboy.
I see JT's. Okay, yeah. I saw JT's face, and that was. Oh, you mean the Guillermo del Toro joint, or that new shit? Yeah,
that new shit. Yeah, no. We don't need to do Stranger Things version. So with that, man.
What about you, JT? Well,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you were giving your ass.
Oh no. I just think I think Terminator. I think Pacific Rim. Those are big 3 for me.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
JT, what about you?
Yeah. Pacific Rim. Oh my God, Pacific Rim was like 80% of greatness,
Yeah.
and they just didn't have the extra stuff to bake it in because that was so close to being a 10 out of 10 sci-fi movie.
Mhm.
Ooh, ooh,
So good, and it's dealing with
yeah.
the same type of monsters as like, and that's one of the things that people don't realize.
The kaiju aspect of Pacific Rim was well explained.
Yes.
And so, they just fucking come out of the cracks in the hole in the sea. Okay, believable. I get you, I believe it.
Yeah,
But
which I
like
think is
they failed in the storytelling, in the world building. But that friggin' scene where he'd take that boat and whip somebody upside the head with it, that was quality. That was better than anything that they had in Godzilla, the remake. So
2014, yeah.
yeah, 2014 Godzilla, that shit, but with the dragging that boat, you knew it was
Now
going down.
Godzilla versus
Charlie
King
Hunnam came
Kong.
through with the boat.
Now
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong, that shit got live.
Yeah.
Where we see giant.
Oh yeah, that was better than Pacific Rim. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Kong Skull Island, that was the because I was thinking
we might have to do Godzilla versus Kong for that blockbuster because that was a great.
Because I'm
movie.
thinking
I really want to.
That was a good ass. That was a
Judge
great.
Dredd. No, Dredd 2012. That might be one of my picks
that
for.
Shit wasn't that great? Well, okay, hold on. He never took his helmet off. That was the real thing that bothered me.
That's
why
accurate.
Do you think
that was accurate though? That's the thing that was accurate about it.
Okay, I'm not mad at it, but just go on.
I was gonna say that was one of the movies that I was thinking, but the box office gross, and like when I think summer blockbuster,
it ain't a blockbuster.
Has to make
it's a blockluster.
So
because it blocked any kind of luster it had.
That was mean, JT. You didn't have to do that. So I'm like, so I'm just like, I'm scoping out movies. Well, I'm like, man,
we got another 53 minutes to go.
Yeah,
a lot of heat. Let's talk about the Big Sick.
Yeah, let's talk about the Big Sick because this was a big movie, a big deal because of the fact that it was an Amazon film, and it was one of those movies that actually got everybody's heartstrings pulling. So let's talk about it, Jamel. What is our East Side review for today?
It is. We are diving into the Big Sick, released in 2017. It was written by an actual real-life couple of comedians, Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani. This is actually a kind of a fictionalized version of their lives. It is about Kumail. He is an aspiring comedian in Chicago. He's doing all the little comedic things you expect, the Upright Citizens Brigade. It's like shit like that that you'll hear like Amy Poehler and them talk about doing stand-up. And he catches the eye of a grad student from the University of Chicago. They hit it off and they begin a relationship. Is generous what we're calling it. They fuck for a while and they kind of sort of date. But this movie had Judd, I was about to call him Judge, Judd Apatow as one of the producers, like history said. It was co-created by both Lionsgate and Amazon. And the movie was actually a pretty big hit back in 2017. It even got nominated for a Best Original Screenplay Oscar in 2017. But that was the year of Get Out, and Jordan Peele got that joint. But let's kick this.
Well deserved.
He ate all of the cinema attention.
Yeah, sunken place. So
rightly goddamn so. I don't give a fuck.
Damn, I was about to say Get Out, but I forgot that came out in February. That could have been a blockbuster. But anyway, are y'all familiar or were y'all familiar before seeing this movie with the work of Kumail Nanjiani as a comedian?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
I saw
shit
him on The Eternals. He was trash.
Along
with the rest of the movie.
That was the best line, he does deliver the best line of the movie. Jurek sucks.
Both of them.
Yeah.
That you thought that was the best line? All right, look, me and the wife, we thought the best line was definitely lost 19 of our best guys.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't remember
9/11 was a tragedy. We lost 19 of our best
guys. Dog, I love that fucking part, dog.
Shit we fell out laughing at that shit. It was hilarious. 19 of our best guys. Done.
Kumail, so what about you, History? You have any familiarity with Mr. Nanjiani before? before the movie came out,
So
besides Eternals and Jerk Sucks.
I'll be right
uh
Go right
I
ahead.
would say the actual thing that I remember him from is actually from Stuber. That would be my one that I remember him from the most is Stuber. That's the one that he did with Dave Bautista where he was the Uber driver, which I think is
Which
irony because he was
it
an
came
Uber
out
driver.
after. It actually
Yes.
came out after this. For me, I remember seeing him. It's his stand up. Like I would see him on like John Oliver had a little stand up show back in the day.
Mhm.
It was John. Like let me see if I can get the name of it. It was like never mind. But anyway, John Oliver had a little stand up show that would bring out comedians, and I remember seeing him on that. And I remember he told this joke about being in the theater seeing Freddy versus Jason,
Mhm.
and it was the joke was is that it was the part of the movie where Freddy Krueger was just like dark meat towards Kelly Rowland, and he said in the theater that he was in there was some like kind of gas and stuff, and he was just like, oh yeah, the child murder they were cool with, but we draw the line at racism, and I'm like that always just it's like yeah, that is kind of that's a weird thing to be like yeah, you murdered all them kids, but racism, Freddie, come on now, it's current year,
You
so
can't, yeah.
you
You
can't
can't
do
be
that.
racist. You can't be.
So this movie, again, it's based on their actual romance, and so it's like it's not a situation like What's Love Got to Do with It, where one of the people is not that involved in it, or a situation like Love and Basketball, where the writer doesn't really seem that familiarity with it. This is the actual couple who are doing this, and so let me ask you this: what did you think of Kumail and his portrayal of himself within this movie as a character?
I feel like this will be Camille in real life for a lot of times. I feel like he is very, very social outside, but I feel like he's has that awkward. I have to joke in between to deal with the actual like stressful situations, and that's what he did. He filled this whole film up with him joking to deal with all of like the actual stressful stuff. So I actually liked him inside of this actual film, and I actually spent a lot of the film kind of defending him in some ways because of the fact of like how everything was happening inside of it. So I actually liked him portraying Camille inside of this.
Yeah, I think it's always a good move to have your main character be some sort of likable.
Yes.
I think that's the problem with some of these with just movies in general sometimes is that, oh, why do I care about this main person? Like why would I want to cheer for this person? And I think Kumail in this movie was very likable, and you kind of understood where he was coming from. I think one of the moments that stood out to me it was when Emily gets sick, and he wasn't a jerk about her not wanting to see him. And I think that could have been easily like again. That's probably how it went down in real life. But I think if this were like a fictionalized movie, he could have been creepy. He could have been kind of a jerk, and he just seemed like a sweet dude who loves comedy, who loves joking around. And I, it was one of those situations where it's like I kind of rock with him as a
Yeah.
character in this movie and as a person. Like he seemed like he's a decent dude. It's just the situation in a lot of these spaces. Yeah, go right ahead.
So my thing was that I thought was awkward is the fact that like even though he because we was kind of picturing that the last time that she ever seen him obviously was when she had before the Tacoma, right? So her last visualization of him is her panicking and saying that like I mean what's going on? I don't know what to do, and he's like it's okay. So I kind of expected him to like her to wake up the way that she did. I do like the fact that he stayed away. I just didn't like the fact that like I wish I would have seen the Camille a little bit earlier. That makes sense what I'm saying. I wish I would have seen that Camille like character a little bit more at the end where we had him just walk up to his parents and say that like, well, because of the fact that we're blood, you can't say that we're not family. You know what I mean? And also on top of that, I have a percentage of the actual vote. I wish I would have seen a little bit more of that inside of the actual film itself. But I do like the fact that he just kind of stayed away and he made sure that he maintained his distance. I agree with that.
JT, I asked history, and I want to get your thoughts on this. What did you think of Kumail and his portrayal of himself within this movie?
It's really hard to mess up a portrayal of yourself.
I mean, we've seen people kind of fuck up, like what's the Richard Pryor joint where it was basically an autobiography? That was a weird
Jojo
movie.
Dancer.
Jojo Dancer. I was about to say Jojo Rabbit, but that's
I gotta go rerun that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen at least like probably 15 Richard Pryor movies, and I've missed that one. So I'm excited now I get to have another one.
Yes.
Ooh, just before you dive into it, I think we as a culture, Lord Hammer, Richard Pryor and his choice of films. Jesus Christ. That is one of the saddest movies that I can portray. His dignity is gone in that movie. Kids, stay off of drugs. Don't feed a habit. Like if you've seen or know the premise of the toy, it's like, oh, this is terrible. But anyway, JT, did not mean to interrupt you about
that movie was rough.
Ooh. Anyway, this movie, this movie.
So listen. I think Kumail did not do a good job of showing his love for Emily. I thought Kumail did a good job at flailing about his terrible circumstances. But that's completely different. When your mom is rolling all these Pakistani bitches in for you to take your pick, and you pick this little white girl and she gets sick and drops into a coma, your mama is sitting over there like, I try to tell you. I try to keep you from this. Now you all sad and shit because you went with the wrong one. I'd have had 13 proper broads for you this year, which was also in the movie. And that was coincidentally, one of the things that set Emily off. And we're never actually told, what Emily's whole deal was until the last 5 minutes of the film. Oh, by the way, it was an infection. And then, everything else is excused.
I like this.
Go ahead.
No. Finish what you were saying. I like
jump in now before you spoil the rest of the movie.
No, I'd say I like the fact that they withheld that actual sickness at the end, and the fact that how they basically was like, man, this is so basic. I just don't like the fact that they tried to cover up the romance by saying, oh man, he's been tortured this whole time to figure out if he cares about this girl or not, because of the fact that the doctors were really not good at finding
their
out
job.
what the fuck. In the first thing,
doctors weren't good at doctoring.
Listen,
yeah, if they would have just simply listened to him at the very beginning.
I'll tell you this right now. Doctors are not very good at their job. And y'all probably know this, but for the listeners out there who don't, I have had my fill of hospitals.
Yes.
So when I saw this movie, when I heard it was about the big sick and it was about somebody having a relationship, but his partner gets sick, I thought it was actually going to be about the relationship when the partner got sick, but it wasn't. It was directly afterwards. And they had to get Kumail in here to sign a form so they could save the patient's life because it had to be family.
Yes.
And that's the reason that he had a relationship with this person. That's whack. And I know it's a true story, but dog, that's not a romance film. Can you imagine Prince Charming coming through, seeing Sleeping Beauty over there, done pricked her finger and stuff, and he decides that she doesn't have the insurance deductible to suck the poison out of her fingertip. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna polish her up. We're gonna give her a wax coating, and hopefully that will prevent her from decaying as she sleeps in this forest in this glass coffin. That was pretty much like the options. We can suck the poison out, or we can just look at her while she dies. And it skipped over a big highlight, which is really the patheticness of America's hospital system.
Yes.
And how it is not designed. Like, you think when you get sick, you're going to go to the hospital and you're going to get a house. You're going to get some mad scientist who won't rest until your problem is solved. That's not That's not how
That's
it
not how it
works.
works, bro.
Do you know how many doctors I've befuddled by asking, all right, and then if it's not that, then what?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many doctors go, oh, well, let's think about that for a second. Like out loud, they've said this. Like they really didn't think about step 2. They just thought about the next step from here.
Mhm.
And the movie really, when it said the big sick, I'm thinking, all right, so somebody gets terminally ill and we got to watch them work through this. No, none of that happened. None of that happened.
You know,
So
wasn't
I feel like I could write a better movie. This is the real problem. But it's based off somebody's life. So how dare I say I could write some better shit than somebody lived out?
You know what's funny
fair.
about the big sick and what you were saying? We saw a better portrayal of this in a TV show recently in episode 3 of The Last of Us. We basically see someone get sick and we see that relationship.
Yep.
And goddamn, like that is I
Which
fully
you gotta
agree
think
with
about
that.
This movie is like what about 5 years younger than us though, right? Just I want to say Big Sick was like 2017.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2017.
2017. So
So
very fair point.
5 to 6 years younger.
Hold up, but what Jamil's saying still pans out. He's saying that movies, this situation was not filled out from a medical standpoint in a way that was emotionally jarring.
Actually, I'm gonna thoroughly agree with you even more, but I'm gonna double down on what Jamel said. We've seen a better portrayal of romance and dealing with a person being terminally ill. It's not a film that we can always name, but we know that it's popular, which is A Walk to Remember. Walk to Remember actually did a lot of.
I'll remember this one. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, it did a really good job dealing with an actual teenager who is sick, and the boyfriend is now just figuring out that like she's sick, and he falls in love with her, and he takes care of her while she's actually.
Wasn't he sick too though?
You know what?
No, he wasn't sick. No, he wasn't.
I'm weirdly gonna double down and give a compliment to a movie I absolutely hate. This is the only positive that I'm gonna give. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Jeez.
Jane Foster gets
left.
When Jane Foster gets cancer, Thor's reaction, like when he finds out that she has cancer and when he sees her in the hospital, his reaction, that literally might be the only good thing in that movie. I'm not gonna give much of a compliment, but his reaction of wanting to fight to keep her alive, that is the only positive that I will give in that movie.
All right.
I don't think that was worth stopping a show for, because that was definitely not a show-stopping moment in the film either.
Oh no, it's not.
But I'll take a win.
Don't patronize that shitty movie. That movie was whack.
That movie
was whack.
It was not
like
that
imagine
bad,
it's a shit burger with like a fine sauce. It's basically a Big Mac made of shit, but the sauce, not even the sauce, the sesame
slaps.
Seeds.
But
the
it's
sesame
just the sauce.
seeds work.
The sauce is the only thing that actually slaps. Just the sauce.
No, not even the sauce.
The rest of the
sesame
burger is
seeds
cooked
work.
Poorly.
Sesame seeds are fresh. Everything else is terrible. But you are
basking your hatred.
Gotta be fresh, dog. They still getting stuck in your molars.
I'm still.
That's why sesame seeds are dumb.
Sesame seeds have no purpose. You're right. Sesame seeds.
They don't belong on a bun. It was all for aesthetic. I swear, there was no benefit to this shit. It doesn't taste better. No, who wants this weird popping shit in their molar? No, all right, look. Can we get on to the movie? We haven't even brought up our movie.
Sure.
This week's movie is
I bathe your hatred for Thor: Love and Thunder.
You wouldn't know that because we're talking about so much other crap.
Yeah. This has been a show. This has been a good show. But anyway, the relationship between Kumail and Emily. Mm-hmm. I feel it was, again, it's hard to criticize it because this is somebody's actual life.
No, you can criticize it.
I didn't really
criticize it.
I
honestly
honestly
him in this later.
I didn't really like these. Maybe. Like, not necessarily I didn't like them as a couple. I feel like, man, I didn't like the romance of this. Like, I get
there was none.
There's some like there, but the romance I feel didn't exist. And it felt uneven. Like, this movie felt uneven from that perspective. I think Emily was fine as a character. I think Kumail was fine as a character. As a couple, I don't buy it. And It's disappointing. It's like maybe some more shit happened in real life, and maybe they didn't want to put everything in the movie. Like maybe some more horrible shit happened, and maybe they didn't want to put all of it. But it's just like, all right, why make the movie if you're not gonna go, like, if you ain't gonna go as hard as you can? What do y'all think of them as a couple in this portrayal in the movie? JT, you kick things off.
This was a romance movie about a man and the in-laws.
Thank you.
Because he stayed up with Holly Hunter more nights than he stayed up with Emily.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was 3-2. So, you know, it was not about the broad he was actually in love with, air quotes, heavy. It was really about a foreigner fitting in with his in-laws. And we never really see the in-laws come through and press up on the immigrants, you know, the Pakistani immigrants. Because that would have been
I don't think we saw the parents interact at all.
Nah, and I tell you, that would have been the scene it was missing. Because when you have a woman like, so Holly Hunter portrayed a great mother in Beth in this movie. But they had a part where some dude was heckling Camille because he was Arab looking, essentially, for no other good reason. He was just some hick truck driver piece of shit, you know, truck driver kid anyway.
Yeah.
Not that there's an insult there, but he looked like he had definitely taken his fair share of showers in the sink. But he was talking his shit, and then Holly Hunter's character comes through. And let me ask you a question: did Holly Hunter have a stroke? Because the way she's always talking about her face,
I think she did have a stroke, and I think if you've ever, like, it's something that Pixar,
I'm not mad at it.
Like, no, it's something that Pixar did when they made The Incredibles, and you kind of see it in Mrs. Incredible. Yeah, I think she had either.
But anyway, Mrs. Incredible had no back in this film because she was actually portraying herself, and so she really didn't have nothing to fall back on, if you will. So, but her version of a spunky white woman is a great example of what you need in your pocket to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You need a spunky white woman who's going to tell you, "Now, fuck that, you treating these people different. And fuck you for treating them any different than you would treat me. And I know because I'm a blonde white woman that you treat me a certain way. And why the fuck would anybody get differential treatment than me, the average shopper?"
Yes.
And she did a really good job of like zoning in on like one of the if you black, if you a minority, if you an immigrant, choose one of these in your pocket. And your life is just going to be a lot easier, you know, just a lot. Trust me, just a lot easier.
So my pitch to you is this: then, do you think that the scene would have been better if, because technically, when this scene took place, he was ignoring phone calls from his parents to come and,
which was stupid.
So, do you think that this would have been better if the parents would have walked in while he was in the middle of doing this set and he was getting heckled by that person, and that's how
his
the parents
didn't support him in his comedy. That's why they weren't there.
But she was annoyed with the fact that he was ignoring his call. So I think that would have been.
Go on, keep stretching this. But I see why they weren't there.
So I'm just saying that like it would have been a way for you to be able to have the parents cross over, because I don't see where you could have had the parents intermingle with each other beyond the fact of like maybe at the very end when he's going to New York.
Are you really trying to critique this dude's life story?
I'm critiquing his movie. This is
his
a movie that
was about his life.
This is a movie though. You can fabricate. This is based on a true story doesn't necessarily mean it's a true story. I'm
pretty sure it was about as based as Hollywood.
It's not. That don't mean that it's verbatim.
No. But
so that means he wrote this. He wrote this case.
Hold on, nah. He done talked about this shit in his set, dog. He got Pakistani parents. He's not a doctor nor a lawyer, and he's a stand-up comedian. He might as well be, what was it, a Nazi?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Nah, dog, no. That does not flesh with the movie because they done already shot that shit down earlier in it.
Cool, but still, nonetheless, I'm just asking, what would
you go push the shit after Camille done made a joke about how it's not suitable? That's whack.
That's not whack, man. That's just it's a movie. It's a movie that he wrote.
Film. Why you can't make fun of that?
You could critique a movie that he put together. He put that out for consumption. If that was the case, then cool. You think that Kumail would have been like, "Oh man, thank you for helping me win this Oscar nomination.
He's not getting no
for this.
Oscar.
Yeah,
He's
but I'm saying
I
though,
don't
like
think
for this
he'll ever
film
get
though,
an
but that
Oscar.
somebody has to
I
criticize,
don't think he'll
critique
get
this
an
film.
Oscar.
Somebody has to measure this film. Somebody has to. We did the same thing with Ray.
If
We
the
did the
film is
same thing with
based
Ray.
on
We
his
did the same
life,
Ali.
if the
We did the
film
same
is
thing.
based on Kumail's life, why
You
would you
can
try to
measure it. You can
critique
still
it?
critique it.
You know what
You
they
can
should have
still
done in that
critique it.
film? Dog, it didn't happen in real life.
Because
So
I'm
he
pretty
didn't
sure a
tell you
lot of the
that
same shit
story.
didn't happen in real life, though. I'm pretty sure a lot of that shit didn't happen in real life.
What didn't happen? What are you sure?
I'm pretty sure that a lot of that shit is real life. I'm
What's
pretty sure
the
that they
shit
wrote.
you're sure didn't happen? We'll take it out the movie, and then you can have your review without that shit. Right.
So think about it, like we actually no. We're gonna go like this. We're gonna go with this. So
Okay.
think about this. We reviewed a movie called Hidden Figures, in fucking February, not in March, right? The whole character for that was the supervisor. He was not a real person. There was no such thing as the bathroom being taken down, but they inserted that for the purpose of the actual film. They inserted that. This is supposed to be based off of these women's life and their personal experience. There's been times that the people inserted that shit outside of films. I'm pretty sure there's parts in this film that actually did not happen the same exact way as what supposedly happened in real life.
Bruh, look,
but you can critique a film.
Here's the problem with that shit. Emily was in a coma the whole time, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But if we're talking about having the parents, you just said it, the missing piece is for the parents to actually have met each other as well. How would you have met these parents? And that's why I said, do you think that this would have been a good idea? That's not critiquing. That's just part
of the racial barrier was the Pakistani folks is never going to be supportive of his stand-up career.
Okay.
But white
she would have been
parents
pissed
were. And then they went there, and an old girl, Beth, Holly Hunter as Beth, done made sure to defend her little future son-in-law or whatever on the stage.
But she hated to do it at the first, and that's the part that we forget.
That don't matter. What
she hated to do it. And then also on top of that, if you're writing a story,
we forget when she hated him. Because she done spent a couple nights drinking, and when you can get drank under the table by somebody and still respect them, things happen different.
I have something. Just while y'all two were,
you went to do that sound just so we could stop doing that, huh?
Yes, I did. But also,
you could have just said, "No, we could have segued."
Holly Hunter, just very just unfortunate. When she was a child. She had mumps, and that caused her to have some hearing issues in the left side. She can't hear out of her left side, and so that causes some problems. So that it might not be that she had a stroke; it's the mumps thing, and so that's fucked up. But yeah, y'all said a lot. Let's get into some other aspects of the movie. How did y'all feel about the portrayal of some of the other couples in this movie? Since we're kind of in this area, specifically Kumail's brother, who was Bahi, I'm probably butchering that name,
Naveed?
And his wife, Naveed. I don't know why Bahi must be something like a little nickname, but Naveed and his wife, his sister-in-law, what's her name? Fatima and Naveed. The bits that we saw with them.
Look, Fatima. All I'm saying is Fatima looked like what Khloe Kardashian was going for. So she was original, and she really felt like she did something for Naveed. What that thing was, we don't really know because they weren't that well fleshed out.
History, your thoughts on we're going through some of the other couples. Beth and Terry, Azmat and Charmine, Naveed and Fatima, the other couple characters. But History, what did you think of some of the other couples that we saw in this movie and how they may have expressed their love?
I want to say that cool. I love both parents because of the fact that you understood Camille's parents. They weren't ever affectionate with each other throughout the whole thing. It was really just about bringing the actual person inside the room. But you had one little glimmer of hope when it comes to the affection and have this idealism that it existed there. And that's when the dad said about like when Camille asked the question, what was your first movie on your first date? And he told him the actual movie on that, and he sung the song and stuff like that as well. You can see that he had a love for her, but I would say that you kind of feel that one-sided love the same exact way with Ray Romano's character as well, where I love the fact that they talked about I had the mistake, but that does just because of the fact that you cheated doesn't mean that you don't love a person. And I love the fact that he tried to be able to explain that concept, even though like he said this is a horrible analogy, this is the worst thing. He was trying to express that like I just knew that I fucked up. I knew that when I made that decision, I just thought that the grass would be greener on the other side, but really it wasn't. I really just knew right in there that I just felt like I loved this person. So I felt like you had it a little bit where if you wanted to go with a realistic approach to it, this feels like a more of a realistic approach to it. That people make mistakes sometimes and then kind of go into it. Or the relationship is not always flushed out, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a joy for my partner itself. So I felt like that was expressed pretty well, but for some small scenes, and I wish I would have kind of got a little bit more out of that with Camille. And you've seen that they try to show it with Camille and Emily when he was inside of her closet and he's seen a shirt and he's seen her just happy. So you've seen that they had the potential to put those pieces in there, but they just didn't put that in there. We kind of more flushed out on his anxiety dealing with the actual her being sick the whole time.
Yeah, I see that point. For me, and I think JT hit on this. We can't. Some of the other characters, some of the other romances weren't fleshed out, and the movie was more about his reaction, and as opposed to their romance. Yes. To me, that's the biggest flaw of the movie. But again, this is the story part of their life that they're putting.
Hey, Jamel, question: how do you tell a story about the girl in the coma? She wasn't there for it.
Yeah, that's true. And
so that's a part that was kind of what I'm saying, that we can still talk about this film and give it a real. This is where the criticism kind of comes into play. Yes, it's about his life, but then we can insert like creative moments inside of it. So you've seen that flashback. You could have had multiple flashbacks then in this film, and then still be able to show that romance is there.
I think what could have helped too, they may have chosen not to put this in there because they didn't want to put all of the details of her sickness. I think maybe if we saw some kind of post, like once they were actually married or the lead up to them actually getting married, and maybe some more of the struggle that they had, I think that could have fleshed it out a little bit more, as opposed to focusing so much on the part where she was in the coma. But and I've been saying this repeatedly, maybe they didn't want to include some of those details. Maybe those are too raw for them, and this is the part of their story that they wanted to include in the movie. But that's just me. I think they definitely could have fleshed out or added a little more detail, but it's hard to do that, and it's hard to critique what these people wanted to put. It's their story. They probably didn't want to include some of those details.
You can still critique it. They put it out there for people to consume. You can critique that.
I had more thought.
Go ahead, finish your thought, sir. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we can still critique the movie. We can still criticize the movie for the movie itself and the story that's told. I'm just giving a reason as to why some of these details may not have been included. May not have, but there are a few pretty prominent characters. JT, did you have any additional thoughts on that area? All right, there are a few pretty fun minor roles in this by some comedians. Bo Burnham as CJ, a comic friend of Kumail's. We had Eddie Bryant, SNL fame. She was another stand-up. Kurt Braunohler, another one of those at Midnight Cruise. Him and Kumail have done a lot of work together. And Detroit's own Tony Award winner, Mr. David Allen Greer as Andy Dodd, the owner of the kind of comedy club that they're going with. Of the minor characters within this movie that we got to see a little bit, who would you say, JT, is sort of that sixth man of the year, that kind of minor character who really did add a lot to the story and a lot to the movie itself?
God, I love A.D. Bryant. Okay, she was one of my favorites on SNL, and she's just such a doll. She was great in the movie, but she must have had 7 lines. You know, no more, no more. Bo Burnham was pretty much like her shadow. He was right there with her in every scene. So, and I was on Bo Burnham shit, before he got popular too. And to see these people blow up big was nice, but I don't really feel like they took the cake. And I was mad about that because I know both of them have what it takes to steal a scene. But there was just never a scene written where they could do that. Because the movie wasn't about them. You know what I mean?
That's true. What about your history? Any other characters?
Hey,
Sorry,
Dad,
JT.
why you skipping me?
thought you-
Ray Romano was the one who really stole the show. And I can't tell what you're doing because you ain't moving no more.
Who,
Okay,
me?
there you go.
Nah, I stopped moving. I wanted to pause and give you room to complete your sentence, sir. Wanted to make sure that you were.
Bro, we be calling each other out on for just some random ass shit sometimes. Hey, shut the fuck up! I was talking.
Yeah, like, you're stalled.
Stop that! Hey, I was in the middle of saying some shit. All right, it was profound.
Shut up, I was.
No, I firmly agree with you. I thought Ray Romano was my favorite person out of the film. Runner up was Holly Hunter. I felt like this, but I felt like this movie was hard to kind of like love somebody else in this film because of the fact that again you're trying to navigate fucking Camille's and Emily's shit the whole time, and more so it's a one-sided argument.
Yes,
it's a one-sided argument.
Emily was gone for like an hour of this film, an hour 15. She was gone for way too long.
So I felt like we were hashing out some shit that should not be hashed out. Ray Romano is the only character I felt like was developed enough where I can understand why Ray is the person that he is, because he was the one that welcomed him to the table. I didn't see where Terry grew from that space. That's Ray Romano's character. Beth, Holly Hunter's character, I didn't see the growth in her to make her automatically defend Camille when she just was saying that you don't need to be here. And they kept saying that you don't need to be here. He didn't have a word in anything else, and none of them said thank you really for signing the form and lying about being the husband.
Nobody did that shit. Nobody.
And so
Raggedy, that was the number one move. And then that move also had ripples later on in the film. You can't move her. She's in this coma. We put her there on purpose. Didn't matter.
And
we're going to move her, but you can't. Yeah, we can. All right. We didn't move her. She's there. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
That was a useless back and forth.
Here, and this is what I think me and JT can kind of say on this is for our partners is the fact of like this, man. I've looked at my wife and I was like, man, that looks like it's not good. And she probably didn't even realize that like something was wrong right then and there. And you kind of learn to study that person and see that person. This movie did not, like until the very end, acknowledge the fact that this man knew her. He noticed that she hurt her ankle and he brought it up in the middle of the actual interview. And so if it wasn't for him saying something wrong with the ankle beyond the paper, if it wasn't for him saying that, that's what actually how they found out the sick. So it was hard for me to kind of like look at these characters and be like, man, I love another 6-man character, because the whole time I was mad at the cast because I felt like my man Camille was getting shitted on the whole time by everybody.
Where he was making the right calls.
Exactly. Even A.D. Bryant's character was like, "Oh, baby, you bombed," but nobody has accepted the fact that man, this man had a meltdown because of everything. So it was hard for you. It was hard for you to kind of fall in love with characters. If I had to pick between a rock and a hard place, I agree with JT. Terry was the best character in the whole film.
Yeah, for me, I agree with that. Of course, anytime I see David Allen Greer in something, I always got to give him a shout out. Shout out to Villa Lovell. She's on a show that I actually really like, Animal Control on Fox. Very it. That was one of those things where it's just like, man, this is basically damn near the Rush Hour scene. And the scene in Rush Hour 2 where Chris Tucker is just spying the girls, it's like you're getting all these pretty Pakistani women just thrown in front of you. Like your mama's trying to hook you, being your wingman and hook you up. That's also something, back to Warrior, that happens. Like something like that happens, and it just immediately, oh, that's the heaven on earth scene from Rush Hour. But that got me thinking. I'm like, man, it must be, it has to be weird in those cultures where the arranged marriages are still kind of sort of a thing, because it's like I have to be in a marriage with this person I've never met. And you had Naveed and Fox, like Naveed said that, yeah, for the first few months we didn't really talk to each other, and it's just like, bro, how it boggles the mind for me. But
put a new word to settling down, huh?
Yeah, it's just like, all right, like I guess that's how we got to do. But before we get into our ratings of the movie, do you guys have any final thoughts? This movie is kind of hard to not necessarily judge. It's hard to be like, okay, this should be different, or we should arrange this, because
it's
again,
somebody's real life.
This is somebody's life. It's just like, okay, ooh.
But let's
hold
on,
Jamel.
Hold on, Jamel. That's not the problem. The problem ain't that it's somebody's life. Let me ask you the question this way, because I think the question really needs to be: is this a romance movie or not? That's the real query here. So let me set the stage for you. A woman is dating a man. She realizes the man has a Tinder profile and it's very active. She leaves him. How is this any different than Kamel's box of Pakistani women from his mother? It's not digital. That's pretty much the only difference. But that being said, the woman leaves, never sees her ex-boyfriend again, who she really didn't actually officially break up with. She just gets sick and goes into a coma. So when she wakes up out of the coma, it turns out that the guy took really good care of her when she was in there and totally wooed her parents. But she's still pretty not happy with him because he was weighing her white ass with a bunch of his, country women. And she felt a certain type of way. Never really got over that. So at that point, how long do you think it would take her to show up in New York for his comic stand-up set? I say at least 2, 3, 4 months.
If she shows up.
Yeah. But like if he was at the first one like 2 weeks later and she showed up, oh yeah, he would have known it. It was curtains. But they really didn't show that shit in the show. So how long do you think it was till she showed up and let him know you can get this pussy anytime you want?
Damn.
Sticky.
Because she held alley-oop a brother down with his set. So, in show business, that's as down as you can get.
Damn. As far as like the first portion of it, I think that Amazon did a better job at like categorizing this. They did not categorize this as a romance film. They categorized this as a comedy, drama, cheerful, heartwarming. Now, when you look at Google and Bing,
honestly, that's more accurate. Okay, go on.
They did a better job at like listing this in the proper like category it needs to be. It was heartwarming.
Yeah.
It was that.
Yeah.
As far as the time, this movie didn't really do a good job at the time, but
yeah, that's true.
But if I wanted to just say alley-oop and because of the fact that he started doing comedy sets and stuff like that, let's say 1 year. I'm gonna say 1 year. I'm gonna give it a year because of the fact that between her recovering, being able to have the money to go there, and everything like that, deal with her shit a year.
Yeah, a year. I kind of think that's reasonable. Either a year to 6 months. 6 months, I think, at the soonest. For me.
Yeah.
It's-
JT, you
Y'all
say
don't know how love works.
I do not love works. 15 years, homie. But I'm saying a year.
She didn't chase you across states, did she?
We chased each other across states. This is the fact that like because remember I was in the army. She was back here in Michigan, so I was way in the
She
coast.
wasn't chasing you across nowhere. She was right there, be like, I still love you.
Exactly.
Turn into to W.E.Z. Bell.
Yeah.
And then you can have this loving too.
Yeah. So
and then when you got back in range, you went and swang by her little radio station. And it was a wrap.
Yeah.
That's not what we had here because the radio station was in a coma.
God damn. So all right. So
it ruins the whole romance of the film, y'all.
So again, I think my pitch would have been for this to be better is the fact of like while they go into the room, they have like little tidbits and moments that actually showed their relationship before coma. You could have made up for the fact of Emily being in coma and her not having as many scenes. Because this was a 2-hour long movie. So this could have fit some pieces in.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point because time wasn't really shown, like, because it was just, oh, we got to quit doing this, and it's just like, all right, how long has it been? Like, we're not seeing any real progression or getting any real indication of what the time. Like, you don't have to tell us it's been 5 months, but give us some indication of how long it's been that y'all been hunching around with each other. Like, give us some indication of that. And
go full Love and Basketball, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter.
Like, actually develop those quarters. Like, let's see what you're doing. But I think that's something that we probably could have shown, because that would have been accurate to real life. Like, hey, what y'all do in between? Like how did y'all relationship, y'all friendship, how did that develop? Instead of just going from point A to, all right, we fucked this time and then that time, and then like give us some more intimate moments before she goes night before she GTSs. And I think that would have made for a more balanced movie, and I think it would have made for like an actual full romance, in my opinion. But be that as it may,
a CM Punk reference.
I did. I snuck that in. But well, this is in Chicago, and he's from Chicago. But be that as it may, let's get to some of the latter parts of the movie. This movie was made on a very small budget for $5 million. Generated $56 million, so made a ton of money. Won a lot of awards. Of course, it was nominated, as I said, for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay back in 2018 for those awards. That year, again, nothing was beating Jordan Peele and Get Out, but some of the other stuff, Greta Gerwig, Lady Bird, The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's joint, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. So yeah, Black Man, Black History.
I saw both of them movies, and they weren't better than Get Out.
None of them were.
The Shape of Water, I want to see. Like, that was the one out. How
did you, Jamil? The worst part is in The Shape of Water, the mom from Paddington is in The Shape of Water. So I actually watched The Shape of Water first, and then like a week later watched Paddington. And I was like, damn, I just watched you masturbate in a tub, and now you're the mom of some kids and
how did you do it?
Sentient bear. That shit was awkward as hell, bro.
Yeah.
That was.
I got a confession. I've never seen Paddington or Paddington 2.
Jamel, you were missing out on some.
Paddington 2 might be the greatest movie of all time.
Paddington and Paddington 2 are the most heartwarming outings that I've had in the past 10 years of cinema. I shit you not, dude. You gotta go watch Paddington and Paddington 2. Bring yous a box of tissues or a bitch who loves you seeing getting the sniffles, because either way, like, it's gonna be a good time.
I think I'm gonna give it a try because Cocaine Bear made me have a lot more.
If you ain't seen Paddington, Cocaine Bear is like Weed Bear.
So Cocaine Bear had brought me some faith. Which, by the way, man,
Some
we gotta
edibles.
talk about. We gotta do fucking Cocaine Bear one day. But I'm
We
gonna
could do
actually,
Cocaine Bear right now, but we only have a few minutes. So
yes.
let's skip to our rating.
So one question before we go to our ratings real fast. Do you think how do you feel like the dialogue at the very beginning? Do you think that affected your actual mindset when it came to looking at their relationship? Because one of the arguments that she brought up was like the whole 2 day thing, right? But she was also saying, "Fuck you, I don't want to have a relationship, and we can't do this thing." So this movie glossed over some of the shit that was on her side.
Okay, so one of the red flags was the 2 date rule. All right, I can't see you 2 days in a row. So I
Yeah,
saw you today and yesterday, and now you gotta go.
yeah,
And so the whole idea with that was essentially Camille was trying to distance himself from her by saying, I didn't see you 2 days in a row. I can't see you no more.
yeah.
I've heard of this rule before. It didn't start with him.
Hmm.
I've also heard of the 1 date rule, which means
Hmm.
I date you. I can't date you again in a row. I got to go date somebody else,
Hmm.
and then I can come back and date you, which I honestly thought the 2 day rule was a little better.
Yes.
But when we saw how people approach dating differently, and as soon as that touched American feelings, aka the white girl, she flipped the fuck out. And he told her, "Yeah, I have a whole box of Pakistani women's pictures because I didn't marry them. And here you are, the white girl who is the center of my attention. You could burn that whole shit for all I care." But he had to burn it for her later. And really, like, he should have shown her the power she had in his life and saying, "You can burn these because you got that spot. You
Hmm.
got the love." But he didn't do it.
I feel like also though, I feel like a part of it is, and it's not me trying to like defend them. She also didn't talk about her marriage.
Nah.
So I feel like this was supposed to be a 2 way street, and this was a 1 way street. This is where
Only
flashbacks
because
would
one
work.
of them got in a coma, but yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Again, that's where an indication of how long they were dating. Because I think if I've dated a person for at least a month and they're like, hey, like, and I find out in kind of a general like, well, I was married. Like, nah, that's something.
We need
That's
to
one of
talk
those
about it.
first few date type of deals. Like,
And
how long have you been divorced? Is the nigga in jail? Is he crazy? Like, there's questions that I have,
she
and I
glossed
think
over it
it'd be
so
helpful.
quick. She
So
glossed over
quick.
it so quick. She was like, "Oh, I have a drinking problem because I was married." It's like,
Yeah, America.
yeah. So she didn't want to talk about her shit neither. So I just felt like it was very hard to
It's
kind of.
and the problem was because they skipped around so quick. Oh, it's been months. It's been
Mhm.
months, and all they should have done was been like, and then a couple weeks later, we found out that there was this point of tension.
Yeah.
But they just wanted to skip around and act like, and shit was sweet in them 2-3 months that y'all didn't see. But
Yeah.
it didn't make a good movie because you didn't show it to me. So
Yes.
I don't buy that shit. I don't
Yeah.
buy it. And when
Agree.
you skip oh, we're getting along great, and then now all of a sudden, oh no, we have this tension. That's because you wrote the movie bad,
Yes.
because you didn't see why there was going to be a difference in that sine wave of love. It's not just straight. That shit went up and down, and you
Yes.
missed the time it went down and beep beep down here, but it's still real fucking low.
Hmm.
And then she goes into a coma. Nah, but you didn't reach that point, movie. And this is why I can't give the movie a great rating. For real.
Okay.
The
So
movie
what?
does not reach the level of cooperation that a quality couple needs in order to be successful.
Okay.
This movie was about some broad in a coma and her ex-boyfriend impressing the parents enough to be like, you should just give him a chance. He's really good for you. We're convinced in it. Yeah, just give him a chance because
Give
he's
him
one
some
of us.
sticky.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
gosh.
what the movie was about. Oh, go impress your girl's white parents, y'all, and you'll be a shoo-in.
Oh my gosh. So Jamel, since we already going to go with this, after Jamel tells us the rating system, JT to give us your rating. Jamel, what is our rating system, buddy?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So, our rating system, we got ourselves a 5-tier system. We got winners. Those are 5 out of 5. Edges, 4 out of 5. Slumpers, 3 out of 5. Sleepers, 2 out of 5. And 1 out of 5 is a dumpster of a movie. So, for 2017's The Big Sick history, what say you? What rating do you give The Big Sick?
Okay. Since JT was already hot, I'm gonna let him finish. What was your
No,
rating,
no, no.
buddy?
You got called out. You tried to
I
avoid
know.
this. Just take it. Just take it. Take it in the face, dog. Take it.
Um, I'm gonna give this a oof. I'm gonna give this a
Yeah,
sleeper.
you're gonna give it a oof. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a sleeper. I wanted to give this a slumber last night at least. But the only reason I'm gonna give it a sleeper is because the fact that I felt like the cultural aspect was not addressed. The only way that it was addressed is white lady goes crazy because of the fact that me and the boys being called ISIS, and we're Pakistani, and I hate being Pakistani. Uh,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, because he's like he did say that.
No, not that. Um, 81-51 was Denver and Phoenix at halftime. Jesus Christ, they are getting their asses whooped. Go right ahead.
81 to Denver is whooping the fuck out of Phoenix, huh?
There's
Denver's
only
gonna
two
win.
people.
Denver gonna
There's
fuck
only
around
two.
and win a championship.
So with that, I feel like this film was lacking in a lot of like the actual part. If we're going based off of the romance aspect of it, it missed out on that. And so I think that if I wasn't going for this film as a romance film, I probably would have gave it a slumper. I feel like it's still missing the parts. This was supposed to be a film that's supposed to be telling me why he loves her. And the only thing I'm getting is basically little small bits and pieces from the 20 minutes that you gave me of a relationship, and then she went into a coma. I don't know why he loves this girl. I don't understand this. The only thing that she seems like she's a cultural out at this point in time. Why do you not pray? You made this big deal at the end of the film. You don't pray. Why do you go downstairs and fake praying? Why do you do that?
Just take your
And
time, dog. Just take your time.
yeah, so it just didn't do that, especially for the 2 hours that it was.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say it was a sleeper. I know that it gets highly rated, but it's a sleeper, man, for the most part for me.
JT, what about you? Suns and Nuggets, just a quick update. Fourth quarter, 7 minutes left in the game. 112-85. Nuggets are beating their brains in.
All
JT,
right,
what's your
well,
rating for the Big
it's
Sick?
finally about time Denver came home with something since Chauncey Billups went to them. They were never the same.
Yes.
This movie was a slumper to me. I liked the comedy breaks, but the comedy breaks were there because the rest of the movie was weak as hell. Let's be honest. So, and they didn't even show enough of the comedians over there. Bo Burnham, A.D. Bryant, they're hilarious. The other guy, I guess, yeah, he's funny too. I've seen him and laughed.
Hey Sam.
David Allen Greer, wasted. What use was he? You could have got any person to shit that roll out, and it would have been the same. So he was a waste. But this movie, it had a lot of makings of a good movie, but it really just stopped because they were like, oh, can you imagine how well your relationship would do if you just shut up for 2 or 3 weeks? That was the moral of this film.
Yeah. For me, I give the movie a slumper. I think here's my thing. It's like the movie is an order of chicken wings. Like from a good spot. And like the skin is good. Like the skin itself is cool, but the meat inside is just like, oh, this is some old ass chicken meat. Like there's parts of it I'm fine with. Like again, the comedic bits, Ray Romano, again, always love seeing Detroit's own Tony winner, David Allen Greer. But the heart of the movie is this is a romance. It's supposed to be about this couple, and it really falters in that sense. We don't see enough of the romance of the couple. Now, they're more healthy and functional. I think they seem like they like each other more than say than some of the other couples we saw last month. but the goal shouldn't be, like that. That's a low fucking bar for what we were seeing last month. And for this, it's like you would want more from this movie because it's personal to these people. And it's like, give us more of y'all up. Like, if you're making this movie, give us more. Why should we care about you as a couple? Why should we care about Emily? Why should we care about Kumail as individuals when we're really not getting that fully? And I think that for some of the bits, the comedic people, it elevates it to a slumper, but it fails in its main purpose, which is to be romantic or show a good couple. And so, honestly, I'm with history. It would be a
It's a
sleeper.
sleeper. Yeah, the only thing that makes it saves it is the little small little comedy shit. Like we just talked about, we lost 19 good men there. That shit made it that's what made it a sleeper for me. I felt like I was like, all right, cool. I fucks with this. But I felt like the relationship and the backstory that I was trying to tell kind of misses the point a lot of times. I think that people just falls in love with the fact that like they love. We see her at the very end giving him like the joke of, well, is it still haggling if I say that you're really good in bed? You know, that's the part that people I think fall in love with. I don't necessarily know if everything else is worth falling in love with or feeling like it's heartwarming over. But with that, man, thanks a lot for listening to us. I really appreciate you two gentlemen coming over here to help us
in other basketball news, there's going to be a game 7 between Boston and Philadelphia because, unsurprisingly, a Doc Rivers coach team looks to about to blow a 3-1 lead, and it's goddamn what the fuck, man.
But with that, man, we are wherever you get your audio acoustical pleasures from. We are actually on the goal to have this YouTube channel grow up a little bit more. So when you actually look at this video, go over to the YouTube. We are looking for that like and that subscribe. So please help us out by doing that. With that, you can check us out on YouTube at Historical Voices from the East Side or HVFE Podcast on there. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio under Historical Voices from the East Side. Check us out on there. And also check out East Side Reviews as well. So on the Jamel, aka Jamel Watson. And then also you can check out our podcast, Island of Irrelevancy. We will be doing another podcast episode on, I believe it'll be Friday, actually the 26th. It'll be the 22nd.
Yeah, it'd be the 26th.
Okay, we do 26. Yeah, it's Friday the 26th. We'll be covering Night of Champions as well. With that, man.
Also, make sure you follow JT everywhere. JT, remind the people where you're at.
Exactly.
You could find me at Jonathan Thompson on Facebook. Y'all, like, I keeps it real. No, it's at JT's _voice on Instagram. And just come follow my brother. Come follow me at HVFE because this is where I be.
Fair enough, man. With that, man, we have a crazy week that we had so far. Robert De Niro is still having babies. Nick Cannon talking about he wants to have babies with Taylor Swift. Blueface is calling out Krishan. A lot of wild stuff. Joe Biden cussing out actual reporters. A lot of things is happening out there, man. So sometimes we have to take it back. We have to dial it back a little bit, and we have to listen to that inner voice ourselves. And so we turn to the actual voice of reasons to be able to help us be able to navigate some of the hardships of the world. So, JT, tell us, what is the voice of reason this week, man?
Listen, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier in the episode, that you can't love somebody without liking them. That's just not how it works. When you love somebody, you want to be your best self for that person. And I remember talking to a friend of mine back in the day, and she had a problem with a boyfriend, and he was doing a little too much. And she was like, I just can't tell if he loves me. Damn, hit the mute button, dog. I just can't tell if he loved me or if he was just obsessed with me. And I pulled out my Bible and I ran through these things. And I said, look, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And that's in 1 Corinthians 13. And to each and every one of these prompts, my friend told me, oh no, he doesn't do that. Oh no, he don't do that. Oh no, he don't do that. And then I told her I can easily conclude, based off what the Bible says, that your dude does not love you. He must just be obsessed with you. So it's not enough for somebody to just have you it's not enough for you to have their attention. They got to love you. They got to want to do better because you are around. And that's a really easy way to tell who's in your corner and who's not, who's growing with you and who's not. Are they willing to love with you? Are they willing to put themselves on the back burner and put somebody else and their wants and their needs ahead of them? Because when you see somebody and they're putting their wants and their needs for you ahead of themselves, their own wants and their own needs, that's how you know you got somebody that loves you in your corner. But if you got somebody who doesn't care about you, they're not patient or kind, and they love to boast and they love to brag and they delight in evil, these people don't love you. But if you got somebody and you can go through all of 1 Corinthians 13, you can run that down and you can say, yeah, they got that. Yeah, they got that. That's somebody you should stick with for a long time because you need them in your life. Thanks for watching, y'all. Yeah.